Hey, here we are right here at the Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network, giving it to you like it is. Today's show is brought to you by FastModelSports.com, officially FastModelSports.com. We got documentation and paperwork back from FastModelSports.com.
It's officially official.
They get a whole lot of attention tonight. Every time they say the check is in the mail, it's
Double
always in the mail.
and now it's in your hand, so they get double the ups.
Yeah, so we get a couple things done around here. We get around and be able to buy a case of beer and a big stack of cigars, Cox.
Well, we need that, Coach, every day.
Only days that end in Y, right, Cox?
That's it.
Cigars and alcohol only on days that end in Y.
Today's show is brought to you by Fast Model Sports. We're right here at the Lone Star Sports Network, giving it to you like we do it every Tuesday and Thursday from 6 to 8. All things sports, all things Texas. But that's – you got something to turn on. Yeah. We got no, that's probably Cox over there giving us a little bit. Yeah, you got a little background stuff going on there. Commissioner Cox in the big Oval Office over there where the commissioner is. There we go. We got your TV kicking and going there. We know you're going to take that taken care of here in just a second as soon as you find your remote.
What you need me to do?
Turn your volume down.
Turn your volume down on something over there. They gonna X you out.
See, Cox, they went after me first. They always go after the old white guy. It's always the old white guy first.
It's your computer. It is you. There it is right there because you're watching the game recap from the Wolves and the Lakers last night. You're gonna raise Snoop Johnson up out the grave.
Crap, I guess I deserve that. I deserve it. All right. Okay, all right.
Old white guy was guilty.
We good?
Yeah, you good. That wasn't you, Cox. That wasn't you.
I got arrested for listening while white. Man, this sucks. All right, you guys got me. Let's go.
You got too many devices over here for Tom Emma. But
sorry.
Man, we're doing it, man. As the world turns in the great world of sports, what all is going on? Deadline just got done. Dallas Cowboys got a little bit done. A few people moved around. Saw the Green Bay Packers, they cut the Glucks that ran the ball out and didn't give that bad man.
And I know it's not Texas sports, but they fired both head coaches in the major sports in Cleveland within 48 hours.
Yeah,
they got rid of Ty Lue and Hugh Jackson.
And I talked to Ty Lue thing. I did get some inside information on that. And it was just a difference in philosophies.
Old school to make them earn it.
Well, a little bit of old school, make them earn it, but how they want to go about it, I don't know if it's as much old school. Do they want to make the young guys, the point guard from Alabama and some of the young talented guys that they brought in, but how he wanted to play them, and the guys that signed the front of the check, they say that we play them all the time, and maybe a little bit like you say, and Tyronn Lue said no, we're going to teach them how to win.
Right.
And
go ahead. Tragic, AB. That's tragic, AB. Because to be honest with you, I think that may be the backdrop of the story. But I think the real story is this owner and LeBron didn't have the greatest of relationships.
Not even close.
And I think he's just absolutely 100% embarrassed at the start of this season. And T. Lue happens to be the scapegoat.
And it's easier to fire one coach than it is to release 13 players.
Absolutely. And when it's not really the players, it's just, hey, those guys are learning how to play together. Ty Lue's trying to put this thing together, and he just becomes a scapegoat because this owner now looks as if, just like LeBron said, you're nothing without me. And his ego is bigger than life itself, and Ty Lue got caught up in it.
Well, if 0-6 gets him fired, then what should we do with D'Antoni down in Houston? That's a joke. That's a straight runner. That's a dumpster fire down there. They can't guard nobody. They don't even try. They don't try to guard.
With an income over there that's 10 times more than what they got in Cleveland.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, he's doing a whole lot less with a whole lot more, and he's not getting fired.
But you got to look at it, guys. These guys are going to make the choices that they feel go according to their philosophy. Let's realize these NFL franchises are nothing more than billionaires' toys.
Right.
So if he wants to make his go boom boom, you want to make yours go yum yum. Hey, whoever finds the sign in front of the check, that's how it's going to go.
Well, in the pros, when you have ownership and management changes.
That.
Yeah, I mean.
I respect it, but the problem is his philosophy has been whatever LeBron has told him all these years. So all of a sudden he has a philosophy.
But he let himself be held hostage. It's his own fault.
Absolutely. But now he has a philosophy. From where? Every winning that he's done has been based on what LeBron and whatever other coach is there has agreed to put on the floor each and every night. Now all of a sudden he has a philosophy. He got rid of Mr. Coach Brown, who's a great coach with a philosophy to win. He gets rid of him. I just think T. Lue ends up being a scapegoat. He's a good guy who's worked real hard, but he'll land somewhere else.
He'll get a job. I mean, how do you go to what 4 straight NBA finals and win one championship? How many other coaches have done that?
Coach, not many, but
you count them on your hand with one thumb.
I was taking the good side.
No active coaches available.
I told my wife, I said, if they would have fired me, I was Ty Lue, all I'd say is, sweetie, pack a bag and we're going to take off for about a month.
I think he walked.
He went to Tahiti.
I think he walked off with
15 million.
15 million.
Yeah, I mean, he got
walked
plenty
off
of
with 15 million. Okay, let's stop feeling sorry for Tyronn Lue.
Yeah, he ain't going without nothing.
He won a world championship. He went to multiple deals. Go ahead, Coach.
Is Luke Walton the next Ty Lue?
No, I can't compare Luke Walton to Ty Lue. I think Ty Lue is a little bit more accomplished, a lot more experienced. Luke Walton's a lot more of a younger, rookie-type coach, if you will.
But he's got a lot of people covering his ass, though.
Yeah.
Bill sitting in the background winking at Magic, and there's a lot of connections that aren't straight up. That's apples and oranges right there.
But Coach, let me say this. Mm-hmm. You say apples and oranges. Is it really apples and oranges?
Okay,
in what sense? I'm just saying. No, I'm just saying that Ty Lue, once he lost the backing of LeBron because LeBron's gone, he's kind of on his own. Where I don't think Luke Walton's ever on his own, just because of all the familiarity with his dad and the Lakers and all the NBA stuff. I just think he's on a different. He's got thicker ice under his feet, and it's not fair, but that's what he's got.
There could be some truth to that, Cox. I mean, I say that. I mean,
not until the day that LeBron turns on you, in which case then that ice turns into water and you fall through.
I don't know.
Luke Walton actually coached that team by himself for a while Steve Kerr was out. Ty Lue never did. He just got it and took off with LeBron.
Yeah.
So Luke Walton also had the opportunity to be up under the tutelage of Steve Kerr and the rest of all those head coaches longer than Ty Lue was, to sort of get some things together. I'm just saying.
But Ty Lue was a good player, and he understands the dynamics of coaching guys.
So Luke Walton was on some championship teams too, Coach.
Yep, but he was on the championship team over there toward the end. Always, if you're facing the TV, all the way down to the left, the ones that wave the towels and wear the warm-ups. That's like me talking about my run at University of Texas. Some people go somewhere and they have a cup of coffee.
I was the guy with the towel.
Right.
You didn't even get the cup.
I didn't even get up to where they were passing the coffee out.
Lord.
So I pour hot coffee in my hand. So I mean, when you talk about a guy like Tyronn Lue, who was a real legitimate journeyman in the NBA, and then Luke Walton, which I think they're both are solid NBA coaches. Winning cures all. If they win, everybody's okay. If they're not winning, we need to chase them out of town. And just simple as that.
You know how bad that Cleveland job is when Larry Drew didn't even want the job. He said he was a voice, or he was
a consultant or something. Yeah. What that means is I don't want to be your interim stopgap until you run me off and hire some other monkey.
He was protecting his resume is what he was doing.
Right.
In other words, if y'all are going to commit to me and we're going to talk contract and we're going to do that right there, then we can talk about it. But if y'all want to bring me here as a stopgap and make it look like I failed, and now I got because the thing about when you start when search firms and agents and owners and general managers start analyzing the contracts, they don't look at the circumstances when you were where. They look at wins and losses.
Well, I was just saying
what you did and what you didn't do.
Well, they're going to bring a money guy, and that's what I was saying about Larry Drew. Larry Drew's sitting around saying, I'm going to be like a bookmark until you bring in the big money guys, because there's always going to be like that group of 3 to 5 hot coaches. Larry Drew's going to get a perfunctory interview that's never going to mean anything, and he knows that. He knows that going in. I don't blame him. Yeah. That's a dumpster fire.
Yeah. So that's what you get out of all of that, man. But, lots going on, man. Stephen A. Smith is my guy, but he said something the other day. Actually, I'm not sure what day. Very recently, when did the Lakers score 95 points in one half? Last night.
Yes.
Yeah, he had 95 points in one half. So it was today when he said it. And he made the statement that Klay Thompson could never be an MVP. I was wondering, was he talking about MVP of the league? Yeah, he probably was talking about the season. Okay, he had to be talking about the season. Okay, I'm not going to get on you, Stephen. I'm going to let you slide. but I think he's very underrated. You've been a successful basketball coach. Who doesn't want a guy that's a high percentage shooter, plays very well without the ball, and can defend 3 positions on the other end?
He's so efficient, it's ridiculous. I remember there was a number last year when he scored like 60 at some points, and they said he dribbled the ball 7 times. Yeah. Got the quickest release in the game. He knows how to get rid of the ball, knows how to create space.
And he can defend.
Oh, yeah. No, I love Klay
Coach,
Thompson.
I'm just trying to figure out what Stephen A. is talking about when we're talking about a gentleman who is without question maybe the number 2 or 3 best pure shooter in the history of the NBA.
Well, okay, we agree with that.
I mean, so this young man is in right now with Steph, Ray Allen, and Reggie Miller.
There you go.
So he's in that class.
That's about right.
That's fair.
So and right now he is a little bit ahead of 2 of those guys.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So I don't know how Stephen. I mean,
with a lot more tread on the top.
Yeah, and the only reason why he's not going to be in an NBA situation, those guys were the only scorer on most of their teams to the level that they scored, unlike him on a team with 2 or 3 other guys that can get down like that every night.
Right, yeah. And that's the truth of that. That's how you don't get it on a regular basis. It has to go to a lot of different situations, but, you know, he's definitely a program franchise changer. We're right here at the Lone Star Sports Show, Lone Star Sports Network. We got Tom Inman, Lady Life, main man, the Prince, Anu Money, and special guest, the guest, main guest, regular guest, Commissioner Cox. Back in 180 seconds with more on the Lone Star Sports Show. Finna hit them Cowboys. Hey, here we are back here at the Lone Star Sports Show at the Lone Star Sports Network. This particular segment is brought to you by Harlem Hotels. Go take a look at HarlemHotels.com and see how you can put your money where you sleep. Today's show is brought to you by Fast Small Sports. Right down in here, we're going to break it down and take a look at these Cowboys real good here. 32 teams in the NFL right now, and we're sitting here right now trying to figure out where do the Cowboys figure into the process. How much better, can make any kind of sense. I got two two guys that I call them cowboy specialists. They can sit here and give you feedback from the inside and one from the armchair. What do you accomplish by firing the offensive line coach? He had nothing to do with the two injuries, one illness and one injury. And the offensive line is still decent, you know.
They've always considered Paul Alexander to be the best offensive line coach in the league. And I just did some real quick math. Paul Alexander coached for 23 years in Cincinnati. So he spent 368 weeks in Cincinnati, and he spent 7 in Dallas. Come to Dallas, where careers die.
You know, I
talked about that last week.
I hate you saying that because
it's true.
Cox has been saying it behind the scenes forever that very few people even want to come to Dallas endangered. In other words, they have to make sure they make enough money to compensate for the potential travesty that may take place at the Dallas Cowboys.
He's been here 2% of the amount of time that he spent at Cincinnati, and he's the reason that the Cowboys are dysfunctional. Holy cow, are you kidding me?
I mean, the offensive line is not there, and I'm going to take
fire the offensive coordinator. Why does Linehan got Kevlar on? Why is he bulletproof?
Coach, it's the biggest joke. But let's just be honest. The deal is this. The Dallas Cowboys are the biggest. Jerry is the greatest at deflection.
Mm-hmm. Trump-esque.
This fire of this coach is deflection. It's one part deflection, 2 part preparing to do 1 or 2 things at the end of this season and making sure he puts everything in place so when he pulls the trigger, he doesn't have any excuses.
Sacrificial lamb. Someone's going to be a sacrificial lamb here besides Paul Alexander. That's not the last one to go.
He's working real, real hard. I mean, I haven't thought about what I think Jerry's trying to do, but I don't think he's evaluating Jason Garrett anymore. I listened to Stephen A. this morning. I agree. I don't think there's any more evaluation of Garrett. Garrett is what Garrett is, period. And Jerry knows that. He's good with that. It is what it is.
Well, that's the whole thing that comes down to it. Is he good with that?
Yeah, and I think he's good with it up to the point as long as he can give him 8 and 8. You know, Jerry's going to live with that. The problem is that he's allowed Garrett and Steven to do some things. This quarterback is the problem.
Speaking of
I've never seen. This is just me, coming from the. Dak Prescott has been given more kid glove treatment more than any Cowboy quarterback from the media that I've seen in years.
Even more than Romo. Yeah.
Even more than Romo. I mean, it is amazing the kid gloves that Dak Prescott has been given. It's just amazing. I mean, from sports writers who've been doing this 30, 40 years, they constantly give this guy a break. They constantly give him a break. And they've destroyed Troy. They destroyed Romo and others.
I mean, Troy held his own, though, Dale. But go ahead.
I think the fact that Dak Prescott is a young black quarterback in Dallas Cowboys, with everything's went on with Jerry.
Mm-hmm. So this is how Jerry plays the race card and make sure he stays in there?
This is how Jerry's got to make sure if he pulls the trigger with this kid,
he's not quick.
Everything.
Right.
He did everything. I made sure. Made his offense. Whatever the issue. First issue with this kid when he didn't come off to 13-3 was he came back the following year happy. All of a sudden it was Dez. Mm-hmm. Dez with the locker room, no route runners, no nothing. So we go out and blow Dez up, and we come back with all these route runners. Well, we realize they were route runners, but all of a sudden they can't get open. Now we go get Amari Cooper. Now it's the offensive line. But Zeke, it's always something because he's trying to make sure when he pulls the trigger with this kid that it's not perceived that he didn't get his black quarterback an opportunity.
No, you're absolutely right about that. You don't want to be called a Klansman.
He doesn't want to be called it. He's made every big mistake socially with the anthem issue and all the other issues that this issue with Dak. If anybody other than Dak Prescott played as bad as Dak has been playing, we'd be talking about another quarterback.
Well, it'd be easier to fire a white quarterback right now because it wouldn't have a racial component to it, and there wouldn't be all the what you're talking about. There's just a little bit of layer under the top of the onion, you know.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, reality. Let's call it that.
That's how it is.
There is some legitimacy about what you guys talking about. I mean, when you're sitting there breaking things down, you always every coach, every general manager, every owner, every business operator, before they make a decision, there has to be analysis of what the overall big picture.
Real simple. Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Is the juice worth the squeeze? How about that, Cox?
I mean, that, Coach, you just said it. I mean, at the end of the day, and what do I do when I pull the trigger here?
Mm-hmm.
And how much crap do I catch?
How much do I catch? I mean, everybody wants Garrett's head on the swivel.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jerry has decided he's not giving us Garrett's head.
Well, yeah.
Or at least not now. Maybe on his
Not
terms
now.
later.
Yeah.
Maybe a year or so, but I think right now the head that I think's on the swivel is Dak Prescott. I think there's more pressure on Dak Prescott than anybody else in the Cowboys team.
I mean, it shows up in the decisions. I mean, I don't know. I think we're going to wait till the next segment, I believe, to get into it. What I really want to look at on all of that. But I mean, it's a fact. I mean, there is a fact, and I'm gonna my introductory angle on the Dallas Cowboys are right now. We know they are not a top 4, top 5, top tier. Let's say top quarter. 32 teams.
They're not in the top 8.
They're not in the top.
They're not
8.
even above the middle. They're in the second, third.
Okay,
third group.
there's two ways to look at it now. We know as a team, based on their performance, they're sitting somewhere down in Cox. You there?
I'm here, Coach.
No, okay.
I'm here.
Yeah, we know that sitting somewhere down in the grand scheme of their production, and I want to make sure Cox hears this. They're down in the bottom quarter of teams. That's the bottom 8, right? When they're down in the bottom 8.
Hey, Cox, let me ask you a question. That's
between 26 and 32.
Oh, that's horrible.
But
go ahead. I'm sorry.
But they are in the second quarter of actually having the personnel and the pieces. But when you turn back around and you got
the differential of achievement is very big.
Exactly. And I'm going to show. We get some clips. I'm going to show you why here in just a little bit. But
which is what makes Jerry Stevens' job the hardest, probably of any owners right now, because at the end of the day, on paper, their team looks so much better.
They look like Tarzan and they play like James.
Well, I just told you they're between 9 and 16
talent wise, production wise, they're bottom quarter.
But they're 20 production wise. They're 26 to 32.
Hey, let me ask you a question, Cox. This sounds very cynical, and I'm not saying that would Jerry do a cartwheel if Dak got hurt. But could you paint a situation where if Dak got injured and maybe they didn't have to re-sign him to a big contract, that that lets him off the hook and he gets to hit the reset?
I pray he doesn't get hurt. But,
no, I pray he doesn't. No, please. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, could you paint a scenario where he wouldn't be too concerned football-wise? Maybe he knows. I think
everything is put in place that they don't have to give Dak the big, huge contract.
That's what I'm saying. That's why they don't care if he runs outside the tackle this year. But they go sign him to a big contract. They're going to tell him to stay inside the tackles.
Yeah, I think Jerry's making trades and giving up first-round picks because he feels like there is a shortage of window.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there is.
Jerry's not giving up first-round picks to think he's going to go rebuild in the next 3-4 years.
How old is
Jerry
Zeke?
Gave up.
How old
you
is
got to
Zeke?
remember, this is Zeke's opportunity.
How old is Zeke Elliott? 25, 26?
Well, he's 3 years in. So he came in 24, 25.
But
I'm saying that he's got maybe 4 years before he's going to have noticeable fall off. There's a 30-year drop off on running backs, whether they like to hear it or not.
The Amari Cooper trade had everything to do with Jerry saying we got Miracle in right now.
Yeah.
And I'm taking away excuses.
Right. And I think they potentially can. And that's one of the things that we're going to look at. And I'm going to go back to, okay.
He's 23. He's young.
Yeah, I told you he was 24. I missed it. Yeah. Because he came in the league
but
at 20 years old.
The clock's still
20
ticking.
years old. 3 plus 20 is 23. But the deal is that when you look at the situation, I said, okay, their production is in the bottom quarter, 26 to 32.
Okay.
Yeah. And 24 to 32. They're in the bottom, but in talent wise, they're somewhere between 9
and 16.
And 9 and 16.
So they're in the second quartile, and they're performing in the fourth.
Right. So that's a problem. That's a real problem.
But it's Paul Alexander's fault.
And it's Paul Alexander's fault. He was a scapegoat. And the offensive line has been the least of their problems.
Well, and
other than some injuries.
One of the things about concocting a roster, though, is that while you're trying to plan for the development of this player, the other guy's getting older. And I was talking to a friend of mine. Tell me if you think this is fair. That basketball, the clock runs at regular speed as far as age catching up. In baseball, it runs half speed because it's an easy game to play. But football, it runs double speed.
It's double speed.
You double speed. So while you're developing this guy and taking 2 years, that
That's why
running
they
back
don't
just
have, that's why they don't have guaranteed salaries.
Right, they just aged 4 years. So if you're not careful, you end up with just you perpetuate mediocrity.
Yeah,
You go 8 and 8 and 8 and 8 and 8 and damn 8.
Well, I mean, the Cowboys have been caught up a little bit in that. Right now, they're looking for a 9-7, and can the 9-7 win? And that's what we're going to come back and analyze. Two things when we come back from the break here's the number one question is that we're going to look at what Dak could do or what could be done with the scheme and the personnel they have to make the Cowboys more successful. That's one thing that we're going to look at. And the second thing we're going to look at is which is the biggest challenge. We're going to put that one on Commissioner Cox. Is it getting a wild card or is it winning the NFC East? Those are the two things that we're going to look at when we come back. Where the Cowboys
Let's talk about it, baby. Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Cowboys sitting here at 3-4. Which way is out, and how do they go about getting it done? We're going to talk a little Dak Prescott. We're going to look at some game tape and analyze some things here and look see what it really and truly is. Today's show is brought to you by FastSmallSports.com, and this particular segment was brought to you by Hartem Hotels. Hartem Hotels, go take a look at HartemHotels.com and see how you can put your money where you sleep. Opportunity to invest in something that people do every single weekend and all week long. We'll be back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. Tom Inman, Lady Life, The Prince, Honey Your Money, my main man, Commissioner Cox, and yours truly, Alan Branch. Right back with more Dallas Cowboys.
Hartem Hotels. Make money where you and millions of others spend money. Hartem Hotels Investment and Development Group's primary disciplines include hotel acquisitions, hotel development, hotel project management, as well as asset and partnership management. At Hartem Hotels, we invest in upscale focused service and extended stay hotel properties, mainly in Texas and other major urban markets. We are hotel owners, developers, investors, and asset managers persistent in our pursuit of successful ventures and passionate about our products. We provide nationally branded investment opportunities, including Hilton, Marriott, and Hyatt hotel franchises. Hartem Hotel strategically places the right product in the right location for the right customer. Get started with us today. Visit us online at www.hartemhotels.com. Hartem Hotels, put your money where you sleep.
Hey, here we are at the Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network. You got Tom Inman, Lady Life, Honey Your Money, The Prince, and we got Commissioner Cox right here giving it to us like it is. Cowboy Cox, breaking it down getting some real clean looks. We're sitting here right now. We're dedicating this particular segment. If we haven't already done enough of it, we're not going to dedicate the whole show. They're not worth it. We can't dedicate the show to the bottom group because our Dallas Cowboys are in the bottom group. They're in the bottom group. Why are they in the bottom group? Because they're between the last 32 teams, and they are in the last 8 teams. They're the bottom quarter of performance-wise as an NFL team. Let's break it down. Any way you want to look at it, stats, production, at 3-4, third in the NFC. Any way you want to look at it, they're in the bottom group. So we can't give you the whole show, but because we love you, Cowboys, because we love the star, we're gonna dedicate a one segment to figuring it out. Okay, we got 9 football games left. We're 3-4. Of those 9 football games, you're sitting in a situation where we know that when you look at the Eagles, the Falcons, Saints, those are your 3 games that you can really afford to lose. Now, can you win one of those and sacrifice a Giants, Buccaneers, Colts, Eagles back at your place here in Dallas, Saints at our place here in town, Redskins back here on Thanksgiving Day, at the Dirty Bird, down in ATL, and not Veterans Stadium anymore, but they're in Philadelphia there, and then you have Monday Night Football with the Titans here and there. Now, Cox has come out and said, man, we're going to look like a barn burner against the Titans. Well, the Titans aren't very good. They're 3-4 too, and they're not as talented as we are. So I could see what's looking like barn burners after that. But when you go from that point, now you go at the Eagles. I think the Eagles game is a potential winnable game. You know, if you're going to have a chance to win one that you're not supposed to win, and that's the formula in sports is to win
the games you're not supposed to.
Win all the games you're supposed to,
and win half of the ones you're not supposed to. Right, exactly.
And you end up pretty good having a chance to play for a championship.
But you know what could happen though with Philadelphia? You could get a curveball on that one. Let's just say you end up with snow. Now you got a wildly inaccurate quarterback throwing a wet ball. You got a slick carpet. It's hard to say. You know, you're getting to November. There's a chance.
That's the whole deal. I mean, it could end up with snow, but then you turn back around. It's a different game. There's not a lot of throwing, and these guys don't throw wet balls anymore. They don't throw wet balls. I mean, they got 50 balls over there. They got a ball dryer. Those balls sit on the conveyor belt.
That can't throw a dry ball.
Well, we're gonna talk about that, and we're gonna break that down a little bit.
Coach, we got an opportunity right now. I'm gonna go on record on the show, Coach. Right now, we have all the opportunity to be a 7-9 team.
Yeah. How much opportunity do we have to be a 9-7 team? Is 9-7 good enough?
We need a lot of help at 9.
I just put a circle on my fingers, Commissioner. I don't know if you're watching.
He says he has a. This is your first time you get a chance to watch the show too, right? You watching the show? So you see him.
There's no way. I mean, and we're going out here against another 3-4 Tennessee Titan team that we don't need to make a lot of mistakes.
No. I mean, you don't ever need to make a lot of mistakes. I mean, we're going to talk about the University of Texas, and when you get off later on, they went in there.
Victory favors the team that makes fewer mistakes. It always has been.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it. You can get caught sleeping. That's why you play the game. You know, my man Herm Edwards says you play to win the game. I say that's why you play the game. You play the game to find out, because on any given day, especially in the NFL, I mean, you know, we often look at the bad team. Okay, let's go take a look at this one last night. What was last night? Last night was Monday night, wasn't it? Monday Night Football.
Yeah, it was a terrible game. The Buffalo and Patriots. It was terrible.
Yeah, the Buffalo and Patriots. Patriots definitely, one of the top 4 teams in the NFL?
Yeah.
And Buffalo probably even worse than Dallas.
It was 9-6 at one point before they got that pick six.
Yeah,
So
it was worse than that. No, I think it went to 12-6 or something. It was all field goals there for a while. So, I mean, the point is that on any given night you can struggle. Is that right or wrong? I mean, you watch a lot of football.
Correct.
I mean, you can struggle if the other team does enough studying. You get caught on a bad night, and you can struggle. Now they came out of it and won the game. So I mean, the Cowboys could lose that. So I mean, all these games have to be played. These other 9 games, they have to be played.
Well, we talked last week when Snoop was on. We talked about how we agreed that in basketball, you got 70 possessions, and probably 65 of them cancel each other out, and the game's determined by 5 possessions. In football, it might be 1 or 2 plays. In baseball, hang one curveball. Hang one curveball and watch your season go by.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the part of it. But you have to live to fight and be prepared to get to that point. That's
You
all
put yourself
everybody
in that
wants.
position to be able to get to those last 5 plays.
Exactly right. To make sure it's a last 5 play.
give yourself a chance.
Make sure it's a last possession or 2 deal. Like my man that goes with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, with the Green Bay Packers and runs the ball out the end zone and doesn't let it get in the bad man's hand.
Right.
Had a chance. They had a chance to hurt that Los Angeles Rams undefeated record.
Right.
Was that state right there?
Well, and I was happy because I'm always selfish because I'm always looking at collateral damage to my Bears. So, I mean, by Green Bay doing something stupid, the Bears benefit, but it was an idiotic play on that guy's part.
We're neutral analysts on this show.
No, we're not.
Who's
Who's neutral here? There's no neutrality here.
No,
Ticking
we're
time,
right.
Tom. Watch him go. Come on. Neutral my ass.
Hey, we over here to get. Go ahead, Cox.
Hey, but one thing about it, the Green Bay Packer organization made a decision quickly.
And they made a decision the Cowboys never would have made.
Teams who must win, make decisions quickly and swiftly to make sure that they understand how important the game is.
Well, that was a big one for them. I mean, that could have.
You think about it. This is the Green Bay Packer team who doesn't have the greatest record, and they're very banged up and beat up. And to go out here and be down to 1 possession against the Rams and to lose it like that becomes the sleeper right now in the NFC, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, it really does. Let's go ahead and run this tape over here, see if I can get my people over there to run this Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to show y'all and tell y'all what's wrong with Dak Prescott. First of all, Dak Prescott is a young quarterback that is 3 seasons into playing at the speed and has realized and had success at playing at the speed of the NFL. No matter what we think, the speed of the game at the NFL is faster than an elite, high-level, BCS, Final Four level college football.
Way faster.
It's faster.
Way faster.
Because you got the cream of all that. It's way faster.
And Dak Prescott never played at any of those things you just named.
Right. Yeah.
He
No Alabama. Right. Yeah.
He was not. He has not played for a championship. He did not do that.
Right. And that's not even close. Now, people always wonder, why was it that he had success? Why was it that he had success in year one? Well, there are a few different things.
I'll answer real quick. You had better people around you. Nobody saw you coming.
No, that's not it. They played him like he was a novice. They kept the training wheels on.
Okay, and they gave him too much too soon.
Right, and when you yank the training wheels off and try to turn him into Brent Favre or Tom Brady, and if you look at it and things are starting to show up, and I'm not looking at the actual clips as they're being played like the big boys do sometimes, but what I can show that you're seeing is, and I've been telling, probably have told you this, I know I've told Annie 1,000 times, I probably know I've told Commissioner Cox, when you have a weaker arm quarterback that does not have the ability, you have to keep him in between the lines. You have to keep the training wheels on so that he's throwing to spots, he's throwing on breaks. He does not have a strong enough arm to throw. If you start and look at it, he doesn't have the arm like Aaron Rodgers, for example, or where he can throw the ball in tight spots and the defense still can't relax and close on it. His ball stays in the air longer.
But that's really why. But a lot of his problem, I don't know if it's fixable, because if you can't drive the ball down the field, you can't force people to stretch the ball down the field. They just jam you up and they play everything in front of you.
I did it. You throw the ball on the break and you throw the ball to area. We got a witness on the phone right now. They witnessed 12-4A and 11-5A football right here.
Okay.
And saw Alan Branch, the Time Hero Player of the Week and all of that good stuff. Jeffrey Jacobs was an NFL player, played behind me. Much more talented than I was. Stronger arm. But Rabbit Thomas, bless him in his grave, was smart enough to use Alan Branch because of my maturity and experience. With lesser talent, we threw ball to spots and on the break that didn't allow the talented Carters and Sox and Brian Adams and stuff we were playing to be able to react, because there was a lot of athletes in Dallas.
Right, but you're by your own admission, you said the game's faster, the windows are smaller, so you're asking a guy who's not very talented to do at a pro level. You had success at a high school level.
Well, no, it translates. I'm going to show you why it translates. If you look at the video, you go back and watch the tape on what's going on, and Cox is sitting there looking at it. He's seeing balls being thrown right now, and by the time the ball is released, the defense has already realized you're open. If the first time that an open player is discovered and the ball is not on its way, then the defense has equal opportunity at it.
We talked last week, the defender often is the receiver.
I think that is what you just said, AB, is the difference between if you talked about quarterbacks in a pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
Top level quarterback, you with Brady and those guys, those top guys. Even those guys in the middle,
mm-hmm.
they got to be able to do that.
They got to be able to do it.
Dak is not, and it has nothing to do. We're using these route running excuses, and when you talked about it.
It's not the route run; it's the delivery.
It's the delivery.
It's the delivery.
You can only be open.
But you gotta coach that.
You can only be open for a second.
The weaker your arm in, the smaller the window is.
Right.
Opportunity.
Right, but there's also a possibility he doesn't recognize quite as quick as other guys.
It's not about recognizing. It's not about recognizing. If I say set, hut, and Unnie goes that way, I know where Unnie's going to. I'm throwing the ball to that red.
But some guys got better vision than others. Some guys got wider vision angles than others.
But
I'm not putting the kid down, but there's a possibility he don't see things as well as you want.
The problem is, Coach, is that we pull the trigger. Again, we pull the trigger for this kid.
Yeah,
now we're figuring out. Oh shit.
But put the training wheels on him. Leave the training wheels. Don't be so sophisticated and embarrassed to do things the right way. Would you rather ride with training wheels and not fall? Or do you want to ride without training wheels and fall?
And here's another
the Cowboys
question.
are falling right
Would you
now.
rather run 1/3 of your playbook really, really well or all of your playbook average?
You have to keep it.
Simple it down. Dumb it down. Who cares?
You have to dumb it down. Success is success.
It doesn't matter. You tell them what you're going to do if you do it well.
I can't understand why you can't find you about 20 good plays that work and just be great at them, considering you got one of the greatest rushers in the league to take the pressure off.
There you go.
If all you had to do,
but that's what we were excited about in 2016. Cox. I mean, Commissioner, all due respect, that was what brought the excitement back to the Cowboys. We thought Dak was it. We got Zeke. We got everything hitting on all cylinders. And the offensive coordinator and Garrett, whatever his name, Jason Garrett, those are the two guys that are responsible, in Alan Branch's opinion, to the demise of the Dallas Cowboys.
No, it's Paul Alexander. Come on, dude.
Yeah. It's a whole deal. That's where the whole deal went down. They telling me we got to go. We're going to come back and hit this Cowboy thing just a little bit more and tell you how Amari Cooper can potentially fit into this process. Not the solution, but a part of the solution. Back in 180 seconds with more of the Lone Star Sports Show. This particular segment was brought to you by Fast Small Sports Playbank. Go take a look at FastSmallSports.com and see how all of you high school coaches that are starting their seasons off can go and kick in and get an opportunity to increase your playbook and get more cuts, more outs, more ways, more plays, more sets to be more successful. Back in 180 seconds with more of the Lone Star Sports Show. Hey, we are back here at the Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network. Today's show is brought to you by FastSmallSports.com. Lady Life, Unew Money. My main man, Tom Inman, and yours truly, Alan Brand, sitting here breaking down a little Dallas Cowboy football. I think we got some clarity brought to that. You might even want to go back and hear the replay on that. You can justify with the clips that are shown of where balls are being thrown, and for what I call a training wheel quarterback. Guys with lesser arms, know how to manipulate the deal. Okay, guys that don't go throw great deep balls, you know what they do?
Don't throw deep.
No, they throw the ball earlier when they go deep.
And out and wide, so it can't be intercepted.
Yeah. So
only your guy can catch it.
Your guy runs to it.
Right.
All you got to do is stay ahead of it. I played with guys where I had to take a 5-step drop, and they could take a 7-step drop because they had a 20-yard longer arm than I had. It's timing, coach.
Well, it's the same thing as like the same quarterback can't throw the same ball to 3 different receivers because if they have 3 different levels of speed. I mean, there have to be like a nuance to
the
it.
ball has to be thrown at different times.
Right, but it's got to get out early.
It's velocity.
Did you watch Brady the other night? Whether you like Brady or not, the ball's out early. Brady's the ball's out, the ball's out.
Right.
You don't get to him, man.
Right.
You just don't get to him.
You don't get to him like that, but you also get to great opportunities. Because the whole deal is, and this is true all sports, anytime the defense starts anticipating versus reacting.
If they're playing downhill, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. Yeah. And we're playing downhill to your spot. And when you hang that ball out there, these guys are big-time athletes now. But they can cut and turn and run. Go ahead.
The one thing that we keep going back to, and this is why it drives me crazy that Linehan apparently is made of Kevlar, is because they still pass when everyone knows they're passing, or not always. They tend to pass when people know they're passing, and they tend to run when they look like they're running, and that just makes it harder.
Predictability is what causes people to not have to react, but be more in anticipation.
So effectively, that opens the windows up. If you could make that linebacker take his first step forward on play action, and then you throw over the top of him, you're opening windows.
Right.
But if they're always coming forward on the run, they're always going back on the pass.
Then if you can make read pass and then come back, that's all you need is that window of time. Is when you got a guy like Zeke sitting there that has the ability to do what he does. I mean, go. You got a dynamic running back. Okay, we were talking about what the production level being here and what a talent level is. Well, you have a running back in an offensive line and a defense that's probably in producing up in the higher end of things.
Have you ever noticed how easy
right now it's play calling, scheming?
All right, I know that there's a little bit of a cheat sheet here because Tony played for the Cowboys. Don't get me wrong. But when Romo can sit and not go to practice every week, travels around, but when he watches the Cowboys and he says when they're in that formation, they're going to run fill in the blank, and he's right 95% of the time. So let's say that he's smarter than the average DC. But if you
he's probably not, but go ahead.
Okay, but the average DC knows when they line up in this set that they're going to run jet sweep or they're going to run whatever. And at the end of the day, predictability crushes you because that has the defense coming downhill now. Where
predictability is a big part of the problem, and it goes along. Right now, tonight I kind of chose to say how can you be successful with Dak as the quarterback.
Well, what's easier to change, Dak or the plays? Let's be honest. Right now, you got 9 weeks left. Change the plays. Dak ain't going to change a whole lot.
No,
not 9 weeks.
He's not going to change. And guess what? You don't have anybody else that you can go and get that's going to change.
Right.
That's the whole deal. The quarterbacks that y'all are talking about are like the Pat Mahomes, the young kids.
Your options are limited. They ain't coming here.
There ain't a whole bunch of kids like that.
Well, and again, I keep talking about that fool's gold of getting Dak outside the pocket. If he gets outside the pocket and he gets hurt, then what do you do?
It's okay for him to make a play or two with his legs.
Not a steady diet, though.
Yeah,
sooner or later, you're giving too many shots at a linebacker.
But that's what playing football is all about. You got to let him play football.
You play to get hurt, right?
I mean, it's just like the kid Deshaun Watson down at which almost didn't make it through the Cowboy game that was a really good football game with the big Governor's Cup Texans and Cowboys playing. There, I mean, that was a huge look, but he took a lot of punishment. He took a lot of punishment, enough punishment that he didn't hardly practice the next week. And so, I mean, that's where you go there. But coming back to the reality of what we're looking at here, if you're going to fix the Cowboys, it's going to have to be you can't. Okay, you a basketball coach. Do you make your personnel fit your style, or does your style fit your personnel?
The style should fit your personnel, otherwise you're putting square pegs in round holes.
Square peg. Dallas Cowboys are square peg in round holes.
Yeah.
That's why they can't want to work. It's not going to work. And they could end up 7-9. They could end up 6-10.
Well, in a way, it's almost cruel and inhumane what they do because okay, let's just assume that Linehan's some sort
I
of
know it's
genius.
cruel and humane to me when I'm sitting there on the couch trying to watch them and relax and enjoy the game.
Let's say Linehan's got a playbook that thick, and he's some masters of
It's thicker than that,
okay,
but yeah,
whatever.
it looks like a phone.
But at the end of the day, by asking them to run that whole playbook, you're making them look like idiots because they're not capable of it. So how about skinning that down and playing to your strengths and being more efficient? Or I mean, do they want to be happy or do they want to be right? Because we're not very happy as we watch them lose.
Well, I mean, you get a little bit of all of that, and I mean, and don't get me wrong, the playbook is not the deal. You adjust plays. I mean, you were a basketball coach. I don't know exactly how this works in basketball, but in football,
you mix different combinations of people up in a ball screen, or you flip sides of the floor, but you can always adjust to things. I know what you're talking about.
Right,
It's the nuance of a game adjustment as opposed to a preparation
well,
adjustment.
in football, you start dealing routes. You shade over here. You play here. You shorten routes. You lengthen routes. You do all these different things.
But it's adjustments
based on
on the fly.
based on the matchup.
I was watching the game last night, and they were talking about how at halftime, obviously good coaches, which that excludes Jason Garrett, make adjustments at halftime. And then they said, now the really interesting thing is watch the adjustments to the adjustments.
It's always about the adjustments to the adjustments.
But that's what
it's
kills
a series
the
of adjustments.
Cowboys. If you're utterly predictable coming in, then you're playing from behind, and you have an offense that doesn't have a lot of firepower, and everyone always knows what you're doing. Jesus Christ, at least make it hard on the opponent.
If you have let's talk about common sense here, coaching common sense.
And I think, real quick, I think sometimes coaches, we out-fancy ourselves. Sometimes we simple works, do simple.
Well,
Don't
okay,
outthink yourself.
if you're sitting there and you got a smaller, weaker post guy just constantly getting buried in the post,
I'm just going to keep punching it in all night long.
Okay, but what if that guy that's getting buried is your guy? Are you going to leave him behind him or are you going to front him?
No, we'll bring him out from behind, which he should have been behind anyway.
Right.
You bring help from the backside,
Right.
and you make someone beat you with a skip jumper, but you don't just keep letting them beat you to death with what's going on. Otherwise, you're an idiot, and that's Jason Garrett.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't adjust well, and I'm sure Jason's a nice guy, and I'm sure he thinks I'm an idiot, but no, he doesn't know who I am. But he doesn't adjust well. That's an objective fact.
There he is sitting right there at the Dodgers game. He should have been watching tape right there. See him there sitting there.
Yeah.
Sitting there watching the Dodgers, trying to figure out how the Dodgers going to win it. And he got it.
And they didn't.
And they did. And they didn't. And then he gonna come back here and mess the Cowboys up. I don't know, man.
You had a question on the sheet that I was. Let's talk about this. Did the extra week off help him or hurt him?
It should have helped him, and the reason it helped him because it wasn't like they had any crazy momentum or rhythm going on the breakup.
Right. So you had nothing to lose, and then you brought in your new player, gives him an extra week for the playbook.
There you go. Right.
Hopefully, you had some time. You know the thing I still want to know though, if you self-scout yourself. And you had the time. We talked about that last week. Take 2 days, and I want you to scout us. Okay, now we're going to pretend that we're the Tennessee coaches. Mm-hmm. When they line up in this, what are we going to run? Well, then why don't we go exactly the opposite? Like, I was watching that guy who hangs his arm funny, who plays for Boston, who tips off his pitches. I don't know what his name is.
The Boston pitcher who bends all the way over.
Kimbrell or Kimball or something. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, they say that he was doing something that was tipping off his pitches. Like a lot of guys, they'll set their fastball here and they'll drop their curveball here.
Oh, yeah. But quarterback do lick their finger twice and do all kind of stuff.
But there are just things that you should know yourself. Mm-hmm. If you don't know yourself, you're really it lacks self-awareness.
No, you gotta know yourself. That's the only way you're gonna know your weaknesses because you got to turn around and look at what are they looking at.
But the perfect counter is something that looks exactly like what it isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it looks just exactly like the play we ran, except we're going to do exactly the opposite often and make you have to guess more because when you guess, you're playing backwards instead of downhill.
Make you have to react instead of anticipating.
Right.
It's just two different things. I mean, which one do you want to do? Read and react, or do you want to lay with the ears back, already figured out what it's going to be,
especially
and
in
they
football,
beat you to the spot?
Well, especially in football, because once you're on your heels, then you get beat up physically and you're out of play.
I mean, the whole thing is you're a whole lot harder to block then. That split second. And if you ever want to watch a football game, watch the line of scrimmage. That's where the play is first read at.
The surge.
Yeah, the surge. It does that
who pushes who which way?
Who pushes who which way? Are there any breakdowns?
And then the next one to watch is where's the first contact? Like if the linebacker, if the guy's 5 yard deep before he even gets hit, you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's right.
You're in trouble.
So those are all things that break it down. Now, here's the benefit of bringing in Amari Cooper. Okay, just like basketball, playing in space is always to our advantage.
Right.
As an offense, the more space we have, the less area or the more area the defense has to defend. The more they can put you into a smaller box, the easier it is for them to stop you.
Well, and that's why I hope that what they'll do is throw deep to Amari Cooper early in the game just to stretch the field and make him guard the field. Don't let him keep creeping and pinching and pinching and pinching.
Well, they can't keep pinching now. And then you have the other kid, number 11, who's a local kid.
Beasley.
Cole
Beasley?
Yeah, Cole Beasley from Allen, Texas, I believe, right? Yeah.
Little
Little M. I always say Allen, but both of them are way the hell up there north, almost Oklahoma, Red River. And now you got two guys. You got a slot guy, and you got a guy that can, ex-guy that can go really, really stretch it out.
Right.
So now you got a little better. You still don't have a tight end. If they come back and break this thing down, and I'm going to give Jason Garrett is an Ivy League graduate. I think there's a reasonable amount of intelligence there if you give him enough time to analyze and think. But he was at the Dodgers game, so I'm not sure if he's even.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question. Could you make an argument that sometimes you can overthink yourself, and can you make the argument that sometimes being smart, I'm a really smart person. I might hide it well the way I talk and everything, but I'm really smart, and sometimes I outthink myself. Sometimes I sit there, the simplest thing every day, I told you that adjustment we made against Montwood when I said, what if we just let those kids catch the ball instead of beating them off the back cut? Mm-hmm. I told you that story. What about that? That's a pretty simple adjustment. No. The biggest game of my life, I just said, well, let's just let them catch the ball. I don't think they can make a play.
Right.
I could have. I mean, don't coach yourself.
Well, and you don't, and you have to have the ability to be honest with yourself and look at what you're seeing. And right now, that's what I'm hoping that the Dallas Cowboys can be honest with themselves and realize, because one thing about life in general, and obviously you do a lot of this in coaching, you have to realize, what have I been successful with and what have I not been successful with?
And you have to create two piles. This worked, put it over here, use it again. This didn't work, put it over there, and don't do it again. Well, and the more that you can separate those things and not go back to the crap pile, the better you're going to be.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, I don't think you totally get rid of the crap pile. It just gets put away.
Minimize it.
You minimize it until you get different personnel. Then you go back through and evaluate.
I'll tolerate you until I can replace you. Right?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you have some of that goes on. But I just have to really stop and say right now, are they going to go and utilize Amari Cooper on paper, on film, on history, on talent, on all of his abilities? The Dallas Cowboys got better on paper. But it still is not going to change as we get ready to leave this whole Dallas Cowboy thing. It's not going to change. It's not going to get any better if they don't analyze how Dak is successful and how he's not successful throwing the football.
I would bet his success comes on first down, less on second, and the least on third.
Not necessarily, because he does well on third and
no,
two,
I'm just
third
basing
and
on
three.
predictability. I'm talking third and long. I'm talking third when he has to pass.
Yeah,
I mean, first, second, or third.
There are multiple situations, and it goes back to the predictability. We could go on and on. We got to go to break now, but I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you could break the thing down and look at it. But at the end of the day, it's going to have to be the plan has to fit the personnel. You can't come up with a plan that you don't have the personnel to execute. That's the moral of the story. Lone Star Sports Show right here on the Lone Star Sports Network. My main man, Tom Emman, Lady Life, Under Your Money, The Prince, and yours truly, Alan Branch. Today's show is brought to you by FastSmallSports.com. This particular segment is brought to you by the Robert Hughes Hall of Fame Showcase. Will take place the Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving. They're in the Fort Worth ISD main gym there on Interstate 20. You got teams coming from roughly 4 different states participating in that process. There'll be a lot going on. We have the Hoop Fest that'll be going on over in Duncanville. Come back and talk more about what's going on in the state of Texas and everything sports. All around the world of sports right here with the Lone Star Sports Show in the state of Texas. Back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. Hey, here we are back here at the Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network. Giving it to you, all things sports, all things Texas. Today's show is brought to you by FastSmallSports.com. Lady Life, Under Your Money, Tom Inman, and yours truly, Alan Branch, breaking it down and looking at it of what it is. You know, we plenty of football. It's football season. It's Texas. So here we are on the night, the first breaking of your college championship series. Deal will be announced. The rankings, top 25 rankings will be open up. They may be already out. We might be still a little bit early. We'll take a look at it. Honey can be Googling it there.
What are your thoughts probably? You thinking Alabama first, Clemson second, probably LSU third, Notre Dame fourth? Roughly?
Yeah.
And then LSU plays Alabama this week, which makes it interesting because you almost wonder if LSU, unless they get blown out by Alabama, you almost wonder why they drop out of the top four. No one else beats Alabama. But they'll probably drop out because a late loss kills you. Early loss, you can get
That was one of the things I was thinking about, right?
Tom Herman can lose to Maryland in week 1, but you can't lose to Alabama in week 9 or you lose out, and that's just stupid.
No. It really is. And until you get a situation where you actually have things broken down into an 8-team playoff, you're not going to fix that. I mean, it's just no way to get around it. It is what it is, and but we have to take it and enjoy it.
I'm still amazed the NCAA doesn't own the BCS playoff series. They own the Final Four. I just can't believe that they just completely gave that away.
They didn't give it away.
Well, they sold it. I mean, everyone's getting a piece and not talking about it. But I mean, that'd be like Apple deciding to let Microsoft do their business.
Would you rather have part of something? Or all of nothing.
10% of something or 100% of nothing. Yeah, right. I got you.
They were in a situation where they were about to lose the whole 9 yards.
Right, but then why wouldn't someone steal the Final Four? Because, I mean, if they took that back, then they could go 8. Then you go 5 power conference bids plus 3 at large, and you could let in the South Floridas, Central Floridas, and those people that have the crazy season. Because that sucks. 2 years in a row, South or Central Florida. Which one is it? Central Florida?
Central Florida.
Central Florida hasn't lost a game in 2 years, and they don't even get a legitimate look.
Yep.
That's ridiculous.
Who was LSU's lost to? I can't remember that for nothing in the world. They lost to Florida. They lost to Florida. I remember that.
That was a bad loss. They probably shouldn't have lost to them. Was that at LSU or was that at Florida?
It was at Florida.
Well, then it's not as bad a loss, right? Right. Yeah. And they're playing Bama down at Death Valley, right?
Yep.
They got a chance?
I think they have a chance.
You always got a chance if you can shorten the game. You got to keep Tua under control and shorten the game. But LSU plays the game to shorten the game. That's how they always play.
The thing about LSU runs the ball well,
right?
And they got an outstanding defense.
Yeah, so the game's that's what I mean by shortening. The number of possessions in an LSU game is going to be much fewer than a game like when you're throwing it 60 times.
You stop and look at it. I think Georgia has shown that they're not good enough.
Right. Michigan. See, what I don't want to see happen is LSU gets beat, and then Michigan slides in because Michigan. I just can't stand Harbaugh. I get so sick and tired of him trying to be Bo Schembechler. Shit. He even dresses like Bo, acts like Bo, grumpy. Wears his old unstarched Walmart khakis that cost him $14 freaking. Dude, you make $9 million a year. Buy some freaking pants.
Well, okay. It's a few scenarios. Let's look at it. Here, Alabama. If Alabama loses, Clemson goes to 1, Alabama goes to 2, Notre Dame wins, Notre Dame stays where they are, and then LSU probably jumps up maybe ahead of a Notre Dame. Notre Dame goes to 3.
But see, when I look at Oklahoma and I sit there and say to myself that they're just what? I mean, they made that comeback against Texas. Texas kicked the field goal. The freshman kicked the field goal late in the game to win it. So they're a field goal off of perfect. They're not going to get a sniff.
I mean, look where Texas was.
But Texas, that's where they belong.
Yeah,
that's where they belong.
After that, that's where they belong. I mean, after Stillwater, Oklahoma last Saturday night, it doesn't make any difference where they belong. They don't belong anymore. They don't even belong. They end up way down in the bottom group. Well, they belong somewhere recruiting. That's where they belong.
That's one of the games that I predicted that they would lose. And the other one they better watch out for. West Virginia is really good, and Dana Holgerson's a really good offensive coordinator. They're not very good defensively. And the over-under on that game might be like 160 points. Bet the over. I swear to God, that's going to be a zoo. It'll look like a track meet.
Yeah, and I definitely know what you're saying there. But when you come back to it, you look at it. Texas wins out. Texas got a chance.
No. Zip. No way. 2-loss team in the Big 12. No way.
I say if they would have won out.
If they'd have won out with one.
No, they're done now.
No, with one, yeah, because they could have been Michigan. They
Yeah.
could have been that Michigan who limped kind of into the fourth spot when LSU got hosed out of it.
That beat a number 7 Oklahoma with one loss right there.
Exactly. And I'm really glad to see Ohio State there, because the one thing I think is horrible, if you look at the details of that deal, it's amazing how they compromised their situational ethics because they're winning enough football games, because Urban Meyer gave him 30 reasons to fire him. And
Well, we don't want to get into that. We had a basketball conversation.
Right. Talk about Texas, though, about dropping that game. Was it a lack of preparation? Are they just a better team? Because they've historically played terribly in Stillwater.
There's all well, that's true. Stillwater, it was only the Southwest Conference. Going to Texas Tech is just as bad on a Saturday night as going to Stillwater. Difficult places. The wind blows hard.
It gets a little cold.
And
the fans are hardcore.
You had a long trip up there. It's been a long day. You've been waiting.
Let's tell the truth. You don't respect them. That's part of the. Of course, I don't care what anyone says. You don't have enough respect for them.
There's no way you even are halfway as up as you are for the OU.
No way. There's no way that you could tell me when you get on that plane to go to Lubbock and when you go to Stillwater.
Especially dealing with 18 to 21-year-old kids.
Well, it doesn't matter what Tom Herman and his staff think. I used to always tell people, I said, every year hopefully I get a year older and a year smarter, and every year they're still 17.
They're still 17.
Never going to change. Well, now it's 18 to 22, but they're still those are unformed minds.
Those unformed minds. You can sit there and tell them till the cows go home they don't believe that fat meat's greasy.
Right. Yeah.
And then using it in a war. And so, but when you go into that situation, this is what happened to Texas. Everything that you just said, but here's the real deal: they lost their starting cornerbacks on both sides. A suspension on some type of team violation thing.
Right. No, he didn't start him, but he played him, is my understanding. Is that correct?
Huh?
I understand that he did not start him, but he did play him. Is that correct?
I'm not 100% sure. I don't think
Do you know any? Because I heard a comment made by Herman where he said, I don't regret it, because my understanding was that he didn't start him. I don't know if you can check that or find that out.
I heard he did. I heard he didn't play him.
Didn't play him at all?
They were without him at all. Right.
Well, you know what stinks? I could make the argument as a coach that when you do something like that, you might lose the battle, but you're going to win the war. But the problem is, in today's coaching environment, you might
nobody cares about the war.
You're going to be fired before the war comes. You got to win the battles. You got to win every single battle, because you just constantly are. You're constantly.
Well, I mean that's a big part of what got my man Charlie Strong is going to South Florida now. Is that he would not compromise dealing with that, and it comes down to it. And this is what guys like Mac Brown and guys like that know what to do. You got to know when you have a knucklehead. Knuckleheads just need knucklehead managers. That's all you got to have. When you're in situations, I look at a lot of these guys now, and even the business that I'm in, some of them give way too much credit to these 18, 19, 20-year-old kids.
Hey, I don't know
make
if
decisions.
There's a funny story that you mentioned that, but there's a guy named Ralph Readout. This is kind of a weird story, but Jerry Tarkanian back at UNLV back in the 70s had an assistant coach named Ralph Readout.
Knucklehead manager.
And he was the ass-chewing coach. They used to say, that's why do you got Ralph around here? Because that's who gets in people's asses. Because Jerry was a nice guy, and he got along with everybody. It didn't make him soft, but he were in charge of getting in a dude's ass. And you're right, when you have a knucklehead, you got to deal with knuckleheads straight up. You can't baby a knucklehead, or he'll toxic up your team.
And you got to know when the knucklehead got some knucklehead plans, And whatever it was, I'm sure it was some knucklehead plans. Them guys sitting around having an off week.
It's usually weed. I mean, let's be honest. It's usually what's the time killer? Kids sit around, smoke a little weed, and you piss hot.
Yeah, weed, piss hot.
Weed, or you don't go to your class. One of the two,
not going to class, missing curfew.
And none of those are Class X felonies. They're going to make you a bad person. However, they do show. They show a lack of respect for yourself and your team, because you can smoke weed when the freaking season's over. You don't miss games if that's that important.
Well, I mean, and that's where it's gotten to in college basketball. Now they're just trying to say, hey, look, y'all can smoke during this time, but you can't smoke during this time. That's what it's come to. Because first of all, you got all these states legalizing it, and so if they can drink beer in certain times, why can't we smoke weed? I mean, and that's one of the things that you're going to have to deal with. It's a society thing. But going back to the point of it is, when you running a team like the University of Texas, Alabama, LSU, these guys are in these crazy, toxic, everything available to them environments. You've got to have these 26, 27-year-old former defensive linemen and offensive linemen and tight ends and linebackers.
Mad Dog Madden down there, remember the big-ass strength and conditioning coach down in Texas? Mad Dog Madden.
Right.
Someone who scares the living shit out of them kids.
Right.
Physically scare them.
Yeah, that dude that walks up and pulls up into the apartment complex.
Say, man.
Yeah. And sits in his damn car. Man, Mad Dog's still sitting out there. Yeah, man, we better chill out.
We better go home.
Yeah, right. You got to have that kind of.
And you got to have a guy who shows up to see if they're in class, and you got to have the unpredictability. All
that stuff has to go along with it. Where are y'all going? Y'all are going to this club? You got to take your own bouncers.
Well, just ask yourself a simple question. Like, you grew up in a big city. I grew up in a big city.
Mm-hmm.
Throw yourself in Austin. Absolutely gorgeous weather. Absolutely gorgeous women.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of great weed down there. It's a really fun school. You got a really cool place to hang out. And somebody asks you to keep your mind clear to play football, but that's always pulling at you.
It's always pulling.
There's always someone who wants to smoke a joint, smoke a cigar, go to a bar, go to lunch, meet my homeboy, whatever. There's always a distraction.
You have to manage those guys during that window of time.
But see, that's why sometimes it's easier to coach in Stillwater and Lubbock because there ain't much to do in Stillwater and Lubbock. You find it easier.
Yeah, a little bit of that. There's a little bit of truth to that. But the deal is that you have to go ahead and say, okay, they are going to party. They are going to go to the club. Guess what? We're going to the club. We're getting our VIP area, and we're going to party like rock stars. We're going to hang bouncers around here and stand around. We're going to make sure everything stays clean, and we're not going to have any police report incidents. That's the way big level. I guarantee that's the way Nick Saban does it. At Alabama. Those guys on Angels.
No, they're probably there's somebody who shows up at the club at say 11 o'clock at night because we don't care if you have a drink at 10 or 11. But if you're still at 1 or 1:30 or 2, now we're going to get pissed off because now you're chipping into our performance the next day. So when coach shows up at the bar, maybe it's time to go home.
It's not even coach showing up. Coach doesn't even deal with that kind of stuff. I mean,
one of the young assistants. I'm saying one of the younger guys.
These younger guys, they're there with him the whole time. You can't leave these knuckleheads in the club by themselves. They'll be fighting. They'll be doing. I mean, you got all these dudes they want to pick at. You have to manage the program.
Right.
18, 17 to 21-year-old kids cannot be left with all the money in the world that they need. They're already getting a stipend. They don't pay for anything.
Oh, and I forgot to tell you, unlimited Nike gear, and people offer to pay for everything too. On top of all that,
everything is all over that. So I mean, you have to do that. So I mean, that's where I fault the situation. It's gonna be interesting to see how this whole thing comes out. I'm going LSU against Alabama. I'm gonna take that underdog.
I'll take the points for sure.
Lone Star Sports Show will be coming back. We'll be back with you here in a little bit. We're gonna switch gears on you and talk a little basketball when we make it back. And come back in and take a strong look at where this whole situation is, NBA and the state of Texas. Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network. Back in 180 seconds with more of the Lone Star Sports Show. The segment was brought to you by Robert Hughes Hall of Fame Showcase Classic and the Hoop Fest going on this next weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. Two big events. Got the Cowtown Tip-Off Classic, too, back in 180 seconds. Hey, we're back here at the Lone Star Sports Show. On past the top of the hour, snuck by me there while we were having so much fun tonight. Today's show is brought to you by FastSmallSports.com. I think we got our CFP rankings have come out. Obviously, Alabama's on top. We got Clemson sitting there. Oh, wow. Okay, we got LSU that moved up to 3. Or they always – no, they were at 4 at once. Notre Dame 4 now.
That's about what we saw. It was just what you had on last time. We had 3 and 4 were flipped.
The 3 and 4 flip. That's what the deal is right there. I think it's interesting. I mean, Clemson, I think, is a clear cut. I mean, I had a chance to see them. I'm not just totally sold on how good Notre Dame is. I mean, I think they're good, but are they elite good, national championship good?
Well, what bothers me is they're kind of like, I remember the years when Nebraska, say 20 years ago, would be a 6-5 team, and they go to the Rose Bowl. And someone would say, how does a 6-5 team go? And the reason is because 55,000 people want to get the hell out of the snow.
Yeah,
and they travel well, and that's I think exactly what you're looking at with Notre Dame. Every Irish person, every person who wears green or has a shamrock is going to be on that.
Yep. So. No, that's the whole deal there. I mean, you just look at this situation, I said it in the last segment. I was actually speaking to some of the personnel down there in the capital city and there in Austin, and blew a grand opportunity, man. Tom Herman blew a grand opportunity, and I know he probably works hard at it, but you blew a grand opportunity. You're in a situation right there. Oklahoma's sitting there with a loss to you at number 7.
Yeah, I mean, if you're
so
set.
I mean, that just go say. I mean, Honey, what do you think? I mean, where is Texas right now if they beat Oklahoma State?
I'd put them at 5 or 6.
5, yeah, I was gonna say 5.
5 or
maybe
6.
Could possibly put them at 4.
Yeah, 5 or 6. Yeah,
it's right there.
A clean,
cusp.
Clean 5 or 6. And playing out. And you're in a situation. I'm not sure. Notre Dame has already played Penn State this year, hasn't it?
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, so I mean, there's some more football to be played, but you're sitting there, and now Tom Herman pretty much solidifies. Do you know how much easier it is to recruit when you're winning than when you're losing? Now you walk in the living rooms and everybody say, "Yeah, we can help you get the rest of the way there." Now people start buying into the process. I mean, that's a big hit.
A perfect example, Washington State. Now, I know Mike Leach is a weird dude, and Washington State's in, I think, Pullman, Washington, and all that stuff, but you know what?
Terrible place.
But they're 7-1, and you can play for Mike Leach, and you're probably going to go play in the NFL somewhere. Hey, you want to hear something funny? I just happened to look up Washington State's record. Guess who they lost to? Just if you're going to guess off the cuff.
A Pac-12 team?
Yeah, they lost a Pac-12 game.
I mean, they beat Oregon.
It's crazy. They lost to USC. And USC's not very good.
Yeah. If
they beat USC, they probably have to be in the top 4.
Yeah.
If they're undefeated.
That's why I think this whole playoff thing could just be really, really, really a lot of fun if we were dealing with 1 through 8.
Yeah, 1 through
8. How much more could we enjoy if we went 1 through 8?
You'd only have one more week of the playoffs. That's it. It's one game.
Even if it's one more week, but then you take 1 week off. That's what nobody wants to give up, is that money, those big money weekends that they have on the preseason.
Right.
That's where it is. But if you went 1 more week, or took that 1 week off there, and got that thing to 8 games, do you realize that we'd have 4 games, then we'd have 2 games, and we have 1 game?
Right. Well, the CFP's got to be corrupt for this simple reason. Think about the NCAA Final. No, I'll tell you exactly why. The NCAA Final Four, we've had to push them back because they keep wanting more teams, because more teams is more money, right or wrong?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. They were trying to go to 128 teams at one point in time when they capped it at 65 or 64 plus the play-ins, right?
Now they're back up to 68.
Okay, but they're always pushing up because there's more money. Mm-hmm. Why don't they want to make more money over there? They must be making a hell of a lot of money if you're willing to stop at 4 teams, because 8 teams is twice as much money. 6 teams twice as much again.
They're making money that, first of all, that's the NCAA trying to push it up so they can make more money as one entity. It's a money thing. You're right about, once again, you're right about the money, but listen up for a quick second. Now you're talking about individual programs making money. So these guys don't want to kill these big stadium crushers where they sell out and go pay somebody $200,000, $300,000 to come in, and they go beat the hell out of them and make $4 million on one Saturday.
Yeah.
That's what they don't want to give up. They don't split that with
the money
anybody.
games, the money games.
Yeah, the money games, the guarantee games.
But my whole point is, if there's more money being made as we increase the number of teams in the NCAA tournament, then it seems like it makes sense that you'd make more money over here with more teams. But the fact they don't want more teams means that there's obviously too much money to be made, or it's insane money. Something's going on.
Well, I mean, it hasn't been figured out. And once again,
They don't ever want you to figure out. You'll never see those finances. You'll never see the financials for the CFP.
The money hasn't been figured out. Is what it all comes.
You're
down
more likely
to
see Donald Trump's taxes than you are to see the CFP's finances.
Well, one of the pieces we kind of skipped over, and we talked about Texas and everything. I think the Texans are in a great situation to make a nice little playoff run. I don't want to kill their groove and what they're accomplishing right now. But I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's really.
Bill O'Brien's really riding the ship. I think someone said he won 5 in a row after a bad start. They lost in New England. I know that first week. Mm-hmm. Then they might have actually lost the next week, or they were 1-1.
Yeah.
But they were about ready to fire Bill O'Brien. He really turned things around.
Well, he made that really bad call.
Which game was that?
One decision there. He made a really bad decision early on. I can't put my finger on what it was, and they were kind of starting to want to just warm up on calling for his head. But I think the Texans are in a tremendous situation right now to be able to make a run. I mean, when you look at their schedule and where they are actually sitting right now, and what they're looking at, I mean.
Hey, there's one thing that's going to determine their future. It's nothing but Deshaun Watson's health. That's it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
if Deshaun stay healthy, they're going to be okay, and if he isn't, they're going to be in trouble.
That's their quarterback.
Right.
So, I mean, you can't.
You got to go all in with your guy, and they're all in with their guy. So
yeah,
I respect that.
I mean, but they're all in with a talented guy, though.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you can't question who it is that they're in with right now. I mean, the loss to the Giants was a really
that's a bad loss. Anyone losing to the Giants is a bad loss.
Yeah,
they're terrible.
Right.
Hey, we got to talk about TCU just briefly.
Okay.
TCU losing to Kansas is a motherload of embarrassment. I want to give a shout out to David Beatty, who I don't know, and Kenny Perry, who I know really well. Mm-hmm. Kenny Perry used to coach over at Bowie High School. And then he worked at TCU for Patterson, went up to work with Beatty up at Kansas, and I'm really happy for those guys because they've really struggled. I mean, they've won like 3 games in 3 years.
For some reason or other, that's some kind of connection to one of my boys, Snoop Johnson, and the guy's the head coach up there.
David Beatty, he's a young Dallas guy. Yeah, he coached at North Dallas High School.
Okay, that's what
he knows David Beatty.
Yeah, right.
And then, like I said, Kenny let Alan Gratz hire me over at Bowie after I got fired at Plano, which was a real big deal because that meant a lot to me. So Kenny Perry's a stand-up guy, and I just want to say congrats, Kenny.
Yeah, that's who it is. That's his whole deal.